Let's get these lights away. Let's get them out of the way. Video. Share. Like. And if you subscribe. Been wondering where my dreaming admin was. I said, where's my dreaming admin at, child? She has been MIA unless you've been in the bushes dreaming. Hey, boo. What's going on, baby mama Courtney? Courtney, I was just, for some reason, you crossed my mind today. I was just thinking about you today. So it's funny that you are like one of the first baby mamas in the stream, child. What's going on, y'all? Hey. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. Y'all thumbs up. I'm going to try not to make this live too long. I'm going to try to have it under 45 minutes or less because I got other content that I want to organize and continue to work on. Told you guys I want to do a Justin Bieber deep dive. And then it's another live stream that was supposed to bring to y'all that is long overdue. So I'm going to be spending the rest of the day getting that content situated so I can get it out of the way and we can continue to push on through. What's going on, everybody? Hey, Rumors and Tea. What's going on, food expert? Hi, my mods. You guys thumbs up, please. Thumbs up. It is so important to thumbs up the video, y'all. Thumb it up not only helps with YouTube's algorithm, but more importantly, it triggers up YouTube's notification system so that as many Conscious crew members can be notified as possible because YouTube be playing on our top. When it comes to notifications, she be playing games. YouTube just be looking for an ass whipping. All right, but we can counteract YouTube's raggedy ass notification system by thumbing up ourselves. When you guys thumbs up the video, that translates to YouTube algorithm bots as, oh, this is desirable, wanted content. So then YouTube goes and starts marketing and advertising the platform for people who are not subscribed to us so that they can know we're loud and we're live and we're in color and then come over here and join us and become new Conscious crew members. That's how we build the kingdom. That's how we continue to get the word out. And that's also how we help to protect the stream from raggedy ass, hating ass heathens. All right. So I need you guys to always thumbs up, honey. Let it be second nature. I just need y'all to do the easy part. Thumbing up, I do all the rest of the work, honey. Okay, I just need y'all to do the free 99 part. All right, I'll do everything else. I'll do the performing. I'll do the note taking, child. Lights, camera, and action. I'll carry the rest of it. I just need y'all to do the free 99 part by thumbing up the video. All right, once you guys have thumbs up the video, please share the stream. Also, shout out to all new subbies. We're at 50.5K. Heading on up to 51K, 55K, 60K. I can't believe we're halfway here, girl. That number just looks so good on this channel. I am still just, reeling over. I'm still salivating and just pouring over the fact that we are at 50K, girl. Y'all know what I have went through for 50K, bitch. Death, life, and hell and high water, baby, to get to 50K. Do y'all know all that we've been through, girl? Okay, we might have to do all we've been through for 50K live stream, baby. Okay, because it's been nothing but pure blood, sweat, tears, and shenanigans, girl. We have endured it all over here, and yet we are still standing. We are better than ever. We are thriving. I mean, it really just could not get no better. And it only goes up from here. So I just want to tell you guys how grateful I am for sticking with me. For those of you who just found me, welcome. For those of you who are day ones, I love you down to the ground, honey. All right, I'm going to continue to make you guys proud. I have some amazing things that I've just been also working on outside of social media. I'm going to complete my coffee table books, which you guys have been asking me about and begging me for. CT, when are you going to write? When are you going to just put out some books? So I'm working on some small coffee table books that are just going to be right now affirmation based. Okay, it's going to be just really incredible writings per page that are matched with incredible inspirational visuals. Those visuals may be me in different divine forms. I don't know what I want the visuals to be. You guys also love looking at me, so they may be visuals of me to coincide like really deep mentally, spiritually, emotionally stimulating writings, things that you guys can use just as a reference for when you're just feeling in a way and you're looking to emotionally, spiritually regulate. Because I love content that's very auditory. I love content that's very visual. So for those of you who love writings and literature, visuals and music, all of that's going to be encompassing, because along with the coffee table books, I'm going to be producing like an audio version of those coffee table books. I'm also going to be coming up with my own affirmation and sounds, which are things you can play on your way to work, on your way to a business meeting, on your way from work to deal with them tired ass kids and that trifling ass husband or wife of yours. Things that are just meant to really give you that serotonin, dopamine boost, and to just really give you that burst of like self-knowingness and centeredness. I'm really been taking my time to carve out what I want things to sound like instrumentally. Also wanting to make sure that my words and my literature are going to be as striking and profound as possible. I didn't want to really rush the project at all, because I really want it to be something that is very, very, very rewarding and something that I just really feel strong about, something that also inspires me. That's typically when I really get and release work, is when it impresses me. Like when it moves me, I'm like, okay, yeah, bitch, it's time. If it ain't moved me yet, then I continue to take my time, pour into the work until I'm also speaking in tongues and rolling around, girl, and just throwing my goddamn shoe at my own reflection in the mirror, girl. All right. So we're going to be doing things outside of social media as well. And I'm super excited. So when you guys don't see me here, it's because I'm working on other things as it relates to my legacy and as it relates to where I am wanting to go career-wise. So I'll keep you guys updated on all of that, and we'll continue to shake and bake. Last but not least, please share the stream out to whatever it is you have digital community, whether that be your YouTube community wall, your Snapchat, your MySpace, the dark side of Twitter, Tumblr, or your personal OF, or hell, drop the link on the ops platforms. I don't really give a damn where you lay the link. Just let them whores know that we're loud, we're live, and we're certainly in color. With no further ado, let's go ahead and push on through.
I know a place where you can recharge your soul.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
And in the midst of brokenness, he gon' see your asshole.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
You gon' heal, you gon' laugh and catch a little shade.
Ooh, girl.
Y'all know he be slaying, y'all better stop playing. Come hear what he's saying.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, you guys, let's go ahead. Let me speak to you guys who are in the building. What is going on, Desiree? Hey, Divine. Hey, Ian Gardner. What's going on, Queen Kesh? Hey, Kiwana. What's going? Hold on, y'all. I'm getting some. Oh, okay. What's going on, Sheenie? Hey, Taz. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Bootsy. What's going on, Teresa, Gabriella, Dreaming, Sabra, Totally Tammy. Hey, Courtney. What's going on, Michelle? My room is in tea and foodie. Hey, y'all. What's going on, love? Hey, LT. What's going on, Miss Lisa? Oh, nasty Lisa in the building. Hey, Keita. What's going on, Shayla? Thank you so much, LT. God bless you. Thank you for thumbing up and liking the video as well. What's going on, the Tea Lounge? Hey, Ashley. Hey, Lady Butterfly. What's going on, Mistress? Long time no see. Hey, boo. Hey, Mistress Monica. Hey, love. Hey, y'all. It's that time of the year, y'all. Can I also? I don't give a damn. I'm just gonna keep saying it until I don't want to say it no more. This weather gives me life, y'all. Y'all don't understand how much. I'm a November baby. I'm a Scorpio. My birthday is next month. Matter of fact, my birthday is November the 15th, honey. All right. So we are literally 1 fucking month away from the rise of the king, baby. Okay. But I love this time of year. Like, this time of year I just cannot express in enough words that do the way I feel about fall and winter justice. I literally just feel so cozy. I know a part of our ruling planet as Scorpios is Pluto. So I know, I got that Plutonian nature. Y'all know that Pluto is like, one of the most introverted planets in our solar system. And apparently, astronomers are actually classifying or declassifying Pluto as one of the planets within our solar system, girl. So Miss Pluto is pooching the hell on, girl. Okay, in true Scorpio nature, honey. Pluto is haul assing, baby. Count us out. We're okay. We don't want to be a part of this ghetto ass solar system anyway, baby. Okay, we are higher than that. But I love this type of year. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. There's just something so like romantic and something just so cozy and chestnutty. I ain't talking about the type of nut that your man leaves on your shoulder, baby, okay? But chestnutty, okay? Something very coffee, hot tea, fluffy robes, fur coats. I just feel so good in the fall and winter. I just love it, y'all. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. What's going on, bedside? Hey, J990, what's going on, y'all? Hey, Ann. Hey, Bougie Barbie. All right, so let's get into the content. It's a lot going on. It's going to continue to be a lot going on, girl. I said, let me go ahead and just get this Diddy content out of the way because it's so much that's happening around this damn man that if you just go a whole 48 hours, it seems like you are like a week behind when it comes to the shenanigans of it all, girl. There are multiple lawsuits that continue to roll out. Janice Combs, his tied-ass big wig wearing mammy, has been listed and cited in a recent lawsuit, girl, as being with the shenanigans regarding the freak offs. Also, the celebrity and rapper The Game, who has his own controversy as it relates to Grape and SA, also has been listed along with Janice Combs, girl, as being with the shenanigans. We'll get into all of the things. One of the most pressing breaking news that came out of the Diddy vacuum has to do with this infamous lubrication and baby oil that has been completely and utterly sensationalized and went viral ever since the feds raided Diddy's Miami and LA homes and allegedly confiscating over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and AKA lubrication, girl. Okay, now y'all know Costco's, had to speak out after Diddy's Red Nose Clown attorneys said that, he really doesn't believe that there were over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubrication seeds. He doesn't know where that number came from, and then contradicted himself by then arguing that his client loves to buy in bulks from Costco's. Costco's came out immediately, baby, and say that, bitch, we don't sell nothing slippery, bitch, and not nail one of our national stores, girl, okay? We ain't never sold to Diddy. We don't even sell lubrication. And baby girl, find y'all somebody else to play with, because what y'all not gonna do is start listing Costco's, baby, as a co-defendant and having Costco's name up there with the Bad Boys fashion label, music label, getting sued down to the ground by these damn accusers. Y'all continue to thumbs up, 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 up as you guys are in the building. Well, remember, over the course of our investigation and keeping up with all things Diddy, there had been alleged via the streets and also via some of the civil suits that have been filed against Diddy that the lube was actually infused, okay? It was infused with menthol. It was infused with some type of intoxicating agent. One of the big chemical agents that have been cited has been GHB, okay? Now, we really first heard about the infused lubrication from the Cassie lawsuit. From there, we have continued to hear about drinks being laced. Not only is the drinks apparently laced, but the ice cubes that go into those drinks and that are served with those drinks also were infused with GHB and other various intoxicating psychedelic ass chemicals that are designed to either put a person unconscious or make them more loose and social and relaxed, and to help them to release their inhibition. And more court docs continue to come out to confirm that the lube, the oil, etc., was infused with these said damn drugs, you guys. Okay, remember the U.S. attorney in his initial press conference as well spoke about the lube, aka the baby oil, also being drug infused too. So what I'm gonna do is pull up an old nasty visual actually. Okay, and then I'm going to pull up these articles. This helps me to keep from having to flip through all this ish. Because, girl, there is a lot going on. All right, boom. Now, courtesy of dailymail.co, let's get into the lube, girl. Diddy's used baby oil laced with date grape drug GHB to make assaults easier, court docs claim. A lawsuit which accuses Sean Diddy Combs of child sexual assault could shed light on why more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil were found at his home. According to the court docs, the rapper used baby oil laced with date grape drug GHB to make assaults easier. The lawsuit, which was filed on Monday, suggested that the drug was absorbed through the victim's skin after applying the baby oil to make them drowsy. In it, a man known only as John Doe accused the rapper of assaulting him when he was just 16 years old at a party in 1998, you guys. He also shared a photograph of the pair together at one of the rapper's famous white parties. Diddy has denied the accusations against him. I'm going to show you guys that image of the accuser allegedly at the age of 16. Now, this appears to be a Caucasian male here. All right. This is that image. Do you guys think that this is someone that we know? Do you guys have any theories and hypotheses about who this is? All right. Now, a lot of people didn't know that lubrication can be infused this way, that it can have these results. Yes, because where do you place lube, baby? Lube just doesn't go on the meat. It also goes inside of the hole, okay? Inside of your vajayjay, inside of your anus are receptors that respond to any and all things that are inserted in it. This is why you can put hot sauce in your ass and it burns, baby. Okay, you can put pickle juice in your puss, baby, and it burns and makes you scream, girl. Okay, because there are receptors inside of your genitals. So imagine a drug being put up your anus and or your vajayjay. It'll have the same intoxicating effects as you snorting it, as you sniffing it, as you swallowing it, as you ultimately injecting it. All right. The article goes on to say that, hold on, they be always posting all these damn pictures, child. There existed something sinister, a dark underbelly of crime and sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, bribery, and prostitution, the court file stated. Combs is a menace to society, women, and children. Diddy denies the allegations against him. Diddy's white parties were once considered the most sought-after invitation on the social scene and were attended by a constant stream of A-list stars, which is why Lil Bow Weezy is out here crying, talking about there's a hole in hip-hop because the Diddy parties has ceased as a result of this indictment, when it's given that there may be a hole in Bow Wow's ass as a result of these damn parties. Bow Wow. We're not going to forget, baby, that in that alleged Kim Porter tell-all book that ultimately got banned by Amazon because the family couldn't take it, baby, was that Diddy also got your ass, unfortunately, and no pun intended, on them damn tapes. Okay, so the timing of Diddy of Bow Wow coming out here crying aloud, baby, and being so depressed and sad about Diddy's parties no longer being a part of the Hollywood circuit annually. Okay, talking about there's a big hole in hip hop. Yes, honey, Bow Wow will know all about just how big holes are. According to the new filing by Tony Buzbee, who says he's representing as many as 120 credible Diddy victims, it was also central to his alleged offending. He would tell victims that it is what it takes to be famous. What are you willing to do to become a star? Also, remember, y'all, Suge Knight talked about the boiled egg test, okay, which Bow Wow might know a few things about as well, where he alleged that, you know, if you wanted to ascend to power in this industry and you were a man, the only way that you could do that, and the only way that you can be entrusted to do the bidding and the works of the devil and Lucifer and the Illuminati and all these satanic ass ritualistic secret societies in Hollywood, baby, is if you was giving up that boy gina, giving up that pussy, honey. If you're popping that boy puss every single which way, honey, okay, and that all males, you know, whether they were grown, just coming out of their 20s, and now Diddy is being accused of SAing and trafficking, you know, non-adult people, girl, okay? And he said that what higher rank execs would do to test the integrity and the desperation and the sincerity of potential talents who wanted to rise in rank is they would force these male participants to insert a boiled egg into their anus. And if the boiled egg did not crack, it meant that they were ready. It meant that they had been slaying that ass enough. They had been submitting themselves and been submissive enough. And they have been desperate enough to do all the things, including being actually coerced and ultimately actually abused, okay, in order to obtain what it is that they're looking for. If that egg cracked, it means that the participants were not ready at all, sugar. Okay? They were not ready. Therefore, they cannot, you know, pass go nor collect $200 on the Monopoly board, sugar. All right? So these twisted, dark-hearted, dark-sided ass rites of passages were insane. The article goes on to say that John Doe was 16 and living in New York City when he received a highly sought-after invitation to the 1988 White Party in the Hamptons. When he received the invitation, he felt like he finally had the opportunity to rub shoulders with the who's who of the industry. He thought it could be his chance to break into the music industry, the court filing read. As John Doe entered, he spotted countless celebrities and A-listers who formed the music and entertainment industry. He recognized faces he had seen on TV and on the big screen. The young man who was making his way through the crowd, or the young boy, I should say, really, and heading toward the restroom when he unexpectedly bumped into Combs, the filing states. Quote, shocked, John Doe found himself face to face with Combs, a titan in the music industry, standing right in front of him at his own party. Okay, I'm scrolling through all this unnecessary stuff on this page. The picture shared in a court filing, which is the one I'm sharing here with you guys, was allegedly taken at this moment during the interaction. The filing states that Combs took an interest in John Doe and wanted to talk to him. They walked to a more private area near the portable restrooms brought in for the party. There, John Doe told Combs that he was a big fan of Combs and shared his dreams of becoming a star. Combs smiled, telling him he had potential and the look. When John Doe admitted his voice was not great, Combs assured him that did not matter. Combs abruptly told John Doe that he needed to drop his pants. John Doe was allegedly caught completely off guard by the request and asked Diddy to repeat himself. Combs made himself clear. He instructed John Doe to drop his pants and expose his penis so that Combs could inspect it, explaining that it was a rite of passage and the route to becoming a star, and also as a way to prove himself. Out of fear, anxiety, and imbalanced power dynamic between himself and Combs, John Doe then dropped his pants and exposed his privates as Combs previously instructed. The filing states that Combs moved closer and grabbed John Doe's genitals with his hand. He firmly cupped and held onto John Doe's genitals for an extended period of time. The article goes on to say that during this time, Combs moved his hand in such a fashion to manipulate John Doe's private, squeezing and filling them. Doe was only 16. Buzbee has repeatedly stated more high-profile people could soon be named in suits and vowed to pursue the cases amongst any offender aggressively. Of the 120 people he is now representing, 25 claim that they were underage at the time they were allegedly abused. In the filing, Buzbee said Diddy was able to target young, vulnerable people through a criminal enterprise built on his success as a rapper, record producer, and record executive. You guys thumbs up the video as you guys are in the building, whether you are a Bush baby actively in these streets or whether you're part of the Replay Gang, all thumbs up lives matter. The article goes on to say that Combs is one of the wealthiest musical artists in the world. As part of his pattern of abuse, Combs manipulated both men and women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with both commercial SEX workers and unsuspecting party goers. Combs has a profound contempt for women and a desire to dominate both minors and other men. His conduct shows a long-standing practice of denigrating, defeating, and attempting to humiliate men, women, and children. Combs' attorney issued a statement to dailymail.com. The press conference and 1-800 number that preceded today's barrage of filings were clear attempts to garner publicity, they said. Mr. Combs and his legal team have full confidence in the facts, their legal defenses, and the integrity of the judicial process. In court, the truth will prevail that Mr. Combs has never actually assaulted anyone, adult or minor, man or a woman. He was charged with a host of SEX trafficking and racketeering offenses following his September 16th arrest. Last week, a judge scheduled his trial for May of 2025. Okay? Now, before we skedaddle from there, did I put Tony? Nope, I didn't put Tony up in her. Tony Buzbee. We got to talk about Tony real quick. He is the attorney that's representing over 120 victims. He's the one that created the 1-800 line where he claims that over 3,000 alleged Diddy victims have called to cite their allegations against the disgraced mogul. He also has allegedly had to hire more legal help and paralegals and attorneys in order to deal with the volume of alleged victims and accusers, girl. So there's a lot going on. Tony had promised us in 30 days that we would see filings while stating that his law firm were going to take their time. And they were going to be diligent. They were going to be factual, which is why he also allegedly was not releasing some of the celebrity names that had also ended up within these allegations until he had properly vetted. Him and his firm had properly vetted all the accusations. However, I don't feel like Tony Buzbee is doing that, to be honest. Hold on, y'all. I don't feel like Tony Buzbee is doing that. For one, it hasn't been 30 damn days. Okay. Tony Buzbee told us that, he was only going to take on the strongest cases and the ones that, had the most factual bearing, that they would obtain medical records and police reports and the whole nine to use to corroborate and legitimize the claims of said accusers. However, he's already went to, you know, filing and releasing civil lawsuits just within 2 weeks of that press conference. And this might explain why Tony Buzbee's lawsuits are also being dismissed right now. A lot of his lawsuits where he's representing alleged Diddy victims are being dismissed for various technicalities, various erroneous filings, and he's already having to go back in, refile, and it's because he's bum rushing this process, in my opinion. I felt very good about Tony Buzbee's initial press conference and his posture and his desire to make sure that him and his law firm deal with these allegations from a factual standpoint, that they were not going to be the Gloria Allreds or the Lisa Blooms, nor the attorney Blackburns of the criminal justice system. They were not going to be big red-nosed clowns. However, seemed like he's getting very sloppy, getting very anxious, and they're not being diligent. And the problem with this is, even though he can refile, he can correct whatever the issues are in the filings, it just creates this air of doubt amongst the general public. It leaves a lot of room for speculation about what's really going on with Diddy. Are these money grabs? Is this about something larger than Diddy? Is there exacerbations, etc.? And once again, because there is a jury pool that's going to have to be selected in order to deal with trial and who's ultimately going to be responsible for judging the shit and sentencing Diddy, everything that happens up till that moment matters, including social perception, including what happens in the court of public opinion. And if out of that jury pool, there's just one person who is not convinced because the way things are being litigated are not clear, it leaves too much room for benefit of doubt. If there's all these open gaps, if there's all these inconsistencies in information, if the attorneys are quacked, if their own reputations are skewed, like Tony Blackburn, like Gloria Allred, like her tired, drow-blonde ass daughter, Lisa Bloom girl, I fear that the real victims and the real individuals who actually have been taken advantage of, have been drugged, have been assaulted, are going to have this whole thing fucked up for them because of eagerness and ulterior motives on behalf of attorneys, on behalf of the clients that they're representing, because there's a lot going on. Not only are some of the lawsuits being filed by Tony Buzbee being dismissed, but you guys also know we covered the case of attorney Ariel Mitchell, who is representing another Diddy accuser. She's representing the woman who is a ex-corn star, is a ex-adult star. Remember, this is the same attorney. Let me see if I got her in this lineup somewhere. This is the same attorney that came forward and claimed that she also saw some still shots from alleged freak-offs, that there are very high-profile persons within this alleged freak-off video with Diddy participating in illegal drug using. She also claimed that these actual tapes are being circuited on the black market for millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, etc., and that she's seen this. But she also dropped that Diddy accuser as well for irreconcilable differences, not really liking, I guess, how her client is moving. But the issue, even with Ariel Mitchell, because I find this to be very fascinating, is that she's kind of slamming her client and end up being dropped from representing that client, wishes her well, etc., you know, for doing all these social media shenanigans, all these interviews. But the attorney herself is doing the very same thing. You know, she's all over the news. She's all over the headlines. I even found out that back in 2022, that she also sat down in the basement of a notorious liar, proven to be liar, self-appointed liar, unhinged with Cardi B's damn money. She sat down in her basement, girl. Last year, year before last, got interviewed by this federal liar, where they spoke about Trey Songz and Chris Brown and Diddy and bribery and everything else. And I'm just like, oh my goodness gracious, honey, Jesus Christ. Like, there couldn't be a worse way to bring speculation and insult to your brand as an attorney than sitting down with a bitch who was found guilty of slander and libel in federal court, and then admitted in court that she lies, she plays whole games. But here it is, Ariel was out here on her social media tour, and you guys know how I feel about these attorneys that have a very big celebrity profile. I don't really have an issue with the ones who have a big celebrity based clientele, but the ones who particularly seem to be interested in social media, those particular attorneys, they lack a lot of fortitude, and they oftentimes fall flat. And this oftentimes right here being the case, they end up either getting dismissed from cases, dropping the ball on cases. You know, it's just get really, really messy. So I always encourage people, if you really want a real shot at your lawsuit, baby, this gets you an actual attorney with great Yep reviews and great references, because a lot of these social media based attorneys, once you start looking into their shit, like that of Brian Ponder, the bald-headed oily bastard who was representing the now imprisoned infamous Bishop Whitehead, his ass done been disbarred in a whole state because of his conduct as an attorney, girl. He can't even represent in certain states in the damn country. He done been accused his damn self of being actually inappropriate with various female clients. Okay, all these things are available online, girl. Just I'm ass. Okay, and he was representing both Bishop Whitehead in his civil suits and in his criminal suit. And guess what? Whitehead never won a single civil suit, and the nigga still ended up in prison for theft and fraud and being a damn booster and a money grabber. Just a mess. All right? Now, however, while we on Ariel Mitchell has also incriminated the rapper The Game in the things, honey. I don't know what The Game has done to get on Ariel's bad side. However, she tweeted out that The Game might want to shut the entire hell up, because she apparently knows about his alleged connections and participations in these Diddy freak offs. Okay? Now, once again, I don't really think it's kosher for Miss Esquire Mitchell to be out here slamming her own client for basically, you know, running a mill and running amok on social media when Ariel is out here making accusations that are not ending up as lawsuits because the game has yet to be listed as a co-defendant, yet she's out here, you know, spreading said information. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just weird. Like, I just want the attorneys. Can the attorneys just attorney, baby? Just attorney, baby. Can the lawyers not just motherfucking lawyer? Just damn lawyer. If y'all not going to file against these damn people, then we can really do without it because there's going to be enough misinformation as it is already out here. And what the hell we don't need is people who we supposed to expect to be of heightened integrity and moral compass and ethics to be out here in the messiness of it all. If you don't know enough to file his ass as a co-defendant, then just shut the damn hell up. Okay? But going back to attorney Buzbee, okay? Attorney Buzbee has also been claiming that celebrities have been settling out of court privately with a lot of the accusers in Diddy's lawsuits, okay? Check this issue out. Yes, honey, intelligence is sliding into the gutter. Oh, yes, it is. According to Fox26Houston.com, A-list celebrities linked to Diddy and his alleged sexual assaults are trying to keep their identities private. Hold on, where's the actual article? God damn. Hold on. Okay, that actually was not... Hold on, y'all. That was a sham. All right, let's go to TMZ, child. Courtesy of TMZ, big celebrities on the level of Diddy are going to be sued for allegedly helping him carry out and cover up sexual assaults unless they settle out of court first. So says attorney Buzbee. Okay, hold on, wait a minute. No, I'm not. That ain't what I'm looking for either. Okay, FoxNews.com. Sean Diddy Combs' famous friends are allegedly settling with victims outside of court to ensure that they are not named in impending lawsuits, according to a Texas-based attorney representing over 120 accusers. Tony Buzbee claims plans are in the works to sue several celebrities who allegedly helped the musician cover up an actual abuse that occurred at his parties. Quote, if you are attending one of these parties, if you will, and you attended before, or you knew what was going to happen, that is, you knew that a particular drug was being used in drinks that was causing people to be coerced and taken advantage of, and you were there in the room, or you participated, or you watched it happen and didn't say anything, or you helped cover it up, in my view, you have a problem, Buzbee said during an appearance on TMZ Live. Buzbee is planning to take legal action against a handful of A-list celebrities on behalf of his clients, although the lawyer did not indicate who. Some celebrities have already settled, he said. Quote, in every single case, especially cases like this, we collect our data, collect our evidence, do our due diligence, and spend time with the victim. And then, because it's in the best interest of the victim, we attempt to resolve these matters without filing of a public lawsuit. And we have done that already, Buzbee explained. We've done that with a handful of individuals, many of which you've heard of before, and we'll continue to do that. The lawyer announced the filing of a class action suit. This is not a class action suit. Against Combs on October 1st. He is representing 120 victims, blah, 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 blah. All right, so attorney Buzbee is claiming that some of the accusers he's representing have already settled out of damn court with other high-profile P. Diddy pals. Who are settling and writing checks to keep their damn names from out of these filings, to keep their reputations intact, because the last thing their brands need is ending up next to Diddy being accused of God knows what, all right? So Attorney Buzbee's pendulum seems to be swinging from left to right. All right. He's representing 120 victims. He's opened up a whole hotline. And allegedly a host of celebrities are settling out of court already. Fine. On the other hand, some of his lawsuits are also being dismissed for various technicalities, etc. Because, in my opinion, they're doing a rush damn job. Okay, I don't know if it's like a manpower power. I don't know if it's pressure and him just wanting to, stay relevant to the algorithm. I don't know what the T is. I don't know whether he's trying to get lawsuits out of the way so that he can take on more potential clients, since there have already been an influx of over 3,000 individuals claiming that they have their own abuse stories. I don't know what the T is, but all I know is I don't goddamn like it. And it don't look good, because there's already an influx of people who are largely doubting the legitimacy of a lot of these claims against Diddy. There are a lot of people who believe in his actual innocence. And once again, because the jury pool is going to be made up of people right out of society, plucked right out of our community, plucked right out of everyday life, honey. God forbid you get a damn Diddy fan up there as a jury member. You get those people who already are in doubt, which there's nothing wrong with being in doubt, because this is a criminal case to begin with, and the burden of proving that Diddy is guilty of all of the things that he's accused of right now, including the superseding indictment that is to come, is on the prosecutor. Healthy skepticism is always a great thing as it relates to outsourcing for the truth and the facts. Which, once again, I hope that these attorneys who are representing these so-called accusers are really vetting these situations and really making sure that, once again, before they file, before they even fucking speak, before they even do a goddamn press conference, before they even press their damn hair, that they have really already outsourced and really legitimized and substantiated their claims, and that they take their time, because any inconsistency from these accusers, any inconsistency and weird shit going on with these filings are all going to work in Diddy's favor. And you guys already know that he's already slamming the feds and Homeland Security for leaking shit to the media, for weaponizing the media and the general public, etc., girl. So I just hope that these folk, girl, understand the assignment. Now, speaking of filings, let's talk about Diddy's lawyers asking the judge in his criminal cases to direct the government to identify its alleged victims so that Mr. Combs can prepare for trial. All right, you guys might have been hearing that Diddy is pressing on the courts to release these Jane Does, these John Does, these ambiguous people who are going to be making up the witnesses and alleged victims, because obviously Diddy is going to have to prepare his own defense against these accusations. And once he's able to identify said witnesses and our victims, he will be able to call them whores, heathens, skanks, cum guzzlers accordingly, girl. He'll be able to equally slander them in his own defense, all right? Now, courtesy of the Megan Kuhn of Twitter page, let's listen to a write-up from Diddy's red-nosed clown, Mr. Mark, all right? Dear new judge, we write on behalf of our client, Mr. Sean Combs, pursuant to federal rule of criminal procedure. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and just go back to Diddy's attorney. There he is, honey. That's our red-nosed clown, girl. All right, this case is unique in part because of the number of individuals leveling allegations against Mr. Combs due to his celebrity status, wealth, and the publicity of his previously settled lawsuit and the grand jury leaks and false inflammatory statements by the DHS agents, as outlined in our allegations by unidentified complaints spanning from the false to outright absurd. Yesterday alone, anonymous accusers filed an additional 6 lawsuits. Counsel for these accusers recently convened a press conference prior to filing, at which he claimed to represent 120 accusers, making outrageous and deeply prejudicial allegations including violent sexual assault and sexual abuse of minors. This publicity stunt broadcast on Instagram included a 1-800 number that reportedly received 12,000 calls in the first 24 hours. These accusations came on the heels of more. Hold on, let me get to the next page. Hold on. Something is. Hold on. Oh, okay. Hold on. I got confused. These accusations came on the heels of more than a dozen lawsuits previously filed and currently pending, several of which have already been discredited, but only after irreparably damaging Mr. Combs' character and reputation. What lawsuits were those that have been discredited? Because he put pending and also put already been discredited. I'm trying to make it make sense. Unless he's talking about Lil Rod, because Lil Rod did have a lot of inconsistencies. He had to re-amend his shit 12,000 times because his shit was being debunked, girl. That's why I never really got into Lil Rod's lawsuit, because he's being represented by one of those red-nosed clowns. Okay, Tony Blackburn. Not Tony Blackburn. Tyrone Blackburn. All right. He the one who fucked up Jennifer Huff's lawsuit against Nicki. Okay. You know, it was claims that Stevie J was in a corn. Then it came out that wasn't the case. The actual adult star who Lil Rod had his attorney use in the still shot in the lawsuit came forward and said, nah, bro, that's me. Then you guys know Lil Rod also accused Diddy and his son of ooting a man in the studio, and him finding like the man shot and injured in the studio bathroom. Come to find out, that whole incident actually took place a block away from the damn studio. It did not happen in Diddy's studio, and Diddy nor his son were connected to what had taken place. So Lil Rod's lawsuit was filled with a bunch of embellishing. It was filled with a bunch of just flat out lies all together. And once again, these people fuck up their own shit by being overzealous, doing too damn much. You blow your own credibility. And I don't think these clients as well as these attorneys realize, like, human beings are judging whether these suits move forward or not. And if you out here playing Monopoly board games and Hunger Games, baby, I don't know like what they expect to happen other than being publicly humiliated when it's all said and when it's all damn done. It's 241 of y'all in the building. Continue the thumbs up, 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 up. The motion continues to say that these swirling allegations have created a historical media circus that, if left unchecked, will irreparably deprive Mr. Combs of a fair trial if they haven't already. In light of the number and anonymity of accusers, on October 7th of 2024, Mr. Combs asked the government to identify its alleged victims. Counsel has confirmed with the government, who opposed disclosure of alleged victims' names at this stage. Okay, so now they're arguing, girl, that prosecutors are refusing to hand over them government names, baby, of these folk. Bills of particulars are appropriate to permit a defendant to identify with sufficient particularity the nature of the charge pending against him, thereby enabling defendant to prepare for trial, to prevent surprise, and to interpose a plea of double jeopardy should be prosecuted a second time for the same offense. These principles are applied with particular care when the government charges RICO, as it has here. As the Second Circuit explained, with the wide latitude accorded the prosecution to frame a charge that a defendant has conspired to promote the affairs of an enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity comes an obligation to particularize the nature of the charge to a degree that might not be necessary in the prosecution of crimes of more limited scope. With these principles in mind, the circuit held in Davidoff that where the government failed to identify the victims of uncharged schemes that it intended to include at trial, the district court committed reversible error by failing to grant a bill of particulars. Here, the indictment broadly alleges that for decades, Mr. Combs abused, threatened, and coerced undisclosed and unidentified women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, and that he engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of abuse toward women and other individuals, including verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual abuse, and manipulating women to participate in sexual activity. This could be interpreted as treating Mr. Combs' entire sexual history over the past 16 years as part of the alleged criminal conspiracy. The government should be required to identify its alleged victims for several reasons. First of those damn reasons is without clarity from the government, Mr. Combs has no way of knowing which allegations the government is relying on for purpose of the indictment. Other than victim one, Cassie, that is, there is no way for Mr. Combs to determine who the other unidentified alleged victims are. The number of potential alleged victims and the length of time alleged in the indictment both weigh in favor of a bill of particulars. Ordering bill of particulars for names of unindicted co-conspirators where there was a large number of co-conspirators, 8 defendants, and an unknown number of unindicted co-conspirators, and the alleged conspiracy has operated for a significant period of time, more than 3 years. Moreover, to the extent Mr. Combs is forced to mount a defense against criminal allegations that the government does not seek to prove at trial, he is entitled to know that. Explaining that where government failed to identify which alleged claims were deemed fake, defendants were hindered in preparing their cases and their defenses and forced to defend all claims, even those that the government were uncertain were fake. So the attorneys are alleging, girl, you got to give up this information. You are leaving my goddamn client at a deficit, and you are leaving him to have to defend his whole entire actual goddamn history against phantoms, okay? Even against claims that you all already know are fake, etc., etc. This is unfair to my client. Absent a bill of particulars, the government is forcing him unfairly to play a guessing game, one made all the more challenged by the onslaught of baseless allegations that desperate plaintiffs are lodging at him, for the most anonymously, in civil suits designed to exact a payoff from Mr. Combs and others. Second, give the anticipated amount of discovery and the expected time required for its production, Mr. Combs will be unable to adduce the identities of the purported victims from the discovery without the assistance of the government. Mr. Combs also anticipates that the discovery will contain voluminous evidence of consensual sexual activity, making it all the more difficult for Mr. Combs to ascertain which of his prior sexual partners now claim years later that they felt coerced. Even if it were possible to ascertain the victim's identity from the discovery, and especially given the volume of anticipated discovery, it is unfair to require Mr. Combs to spend significant time trying to unearth the alleged victims' identities. Okay, then he lists a case, etc., where the government does not fulfill its obligation merely by providing mountains of documents to defense counsel who are left unguided as to which documents the government will use at trial. Okay, so the second claim is that, look, bitch, y'all got to give up names, girl, so that we're not spending our time on frivolous shit, so that Mr. Diddy can already arrange his defense against those who were ready to suck dick, ready to be on their knees, ready to take it up the ass willfully. That's what they came for. That's what they stayed for the after party to participate in, honey. Okay. And now years later, because of what Cassie did, they're now all jumping on the bandwagon. My client shouldn't have to play a guessing game, and he should once again be able to reasonably defend himself against those who are just clout chasing and or looking for a payoff because the opportunity is here for one about things that they actually consented to, eon years ago. Thirdly, the publicity of these allegations in civil suits seriously undermine Mr. Combs' right to a fair trial. The attorneys and plaintiffs making these allegations are not bound by Local Rule 23-1 and can therefore make and have made limitless and unchallenged statements to the press. Mr. Combs' denials, on the other hand, are contained by Rule 23-1 because he does not know which allegations are credited by the government and thus come within the ambit of the local rule. Under the circumstances, the court should require disclosure of the government's alleged victims and allow Mr. Combs to respond to allegations of other uncredited and unrelated accusers. The motion goes on to be concluded, actually. All right, so his attorney, Shy, are begging the courts to have to do what it is that they do. The court's best interest is to once again entitle Mr. Combs to a fair trial so that there's no room for this bitch to, be able to cite mistrial and that there's no legal erroneous errors that too can catch up to the court's ass. I just want the game to be played fair. The truth does matter because if there are people who have truly been victimized, then they deserve a legal proceeding that is going to make that clear so that they can extract precise and justifiable justice for themselves. Also, I think Diddy deserves a fair trial as well, bitch, because I too don't want a raggedy judicial system. As a Black American who already sees how disproportionately we are represented and how the government does what the fuck it wants when it comes to our Black asses, the judicial system should be rooted in truth. It should be integral. It should be ethical. And I want all persons to be subjected to a legit and fair trial, both the plaintiff and the goddamn defendant. So I just don't need these hoes playing reindeer games. Once again, there's too many reindeer games already being played. Homeland Security apparently playing reindeer games. Diddy playing reindeer games. Some of these accusers are definitely playing reindeer games. The attorneys are playing reindeer games. And all it leaves is a shit show and a clown show and just a hot, stinking ass, unresolved goddamn mess where nobody can confidently really believe in any one thing over the other factually, okay? All things just remain a belief rather than factually proven. And it just really gets on my goddamn last nerve. So, I personally believe that Diddy is guilty of a lot of things. I believe he definitely has unalived people. He definitely is connected to a lot of violence. And I definitely believe that he has actually been inappropriate, coerced, and drugged individuals. The issue is going to be determining where the truth is and who's coming forward have actually legitimately had that experience. It's going to also make a difference in terms of these attorneys, and their ethical code is going to be determined by a fair and sensible judge and accountability on behalf of the courts, etc. But like all cases, you're going to get your fair share of clout chasers. It happens in every case. It happened in Bill Cosby case. Janice Dickinson, ex-supermodel turned crackhead, allegedly. She got on the bandwagon claiming she was drugged and coerced, and the bitch forgot she had already wrote about her consensual actual experience with Bill Cosby in a previous memoir. So that bitch got clocked upside the motherfucking head, okay? And she tried to issue a raggedy ass apology, and all this girl just a mess. It's been a mess. We also know in the Usher rundown when there were accusers, girl, accusing him of you know, turning their pussies green and turning their coochies into crunch and munch, that, you know, some of the accusers like Miss Shanquasia Sharpton, honey, okay, was just, she came forward 2-3 weeks into the damn into the rundown on Usher, you know, to say that she practically lied and had did all of this shit just to know what it felt like to experience, you know, 15 minutes of fame. You know, so you're going to get raggedy hoes, you're going to get liars, you're going to get money grabbers, you're going to get attention seekers, you're going to get all that mess, especially when it comes to high profile situations, because there's a lot to gain from those who are looking. Okay, there's a lot to gain if you have actually been victimized. There's a lot to gain if you haven't been, but you've had enough proximity, or you could co-angle enough of a damn story, honey, to have a celebrity pay out of court. Because, like in the case of Tony Buzbee, who's claiming that a lot of A-list celebrities have already started settling out of court with accusers, etc., just to keep their names out of shit. So a lot of people who have never had nothing happen to them will lie and go down this rabbit hole in hopes that they will get hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars in NDA settlements, because high profile people will, for the sake of their brands, for the sake of their reputations, for the sake of their sponsors, pay you to not lie on them. So it's also true that settling out of court doesn't necessarily go hand in hand and simultaneous with guilt. Celebrities have a lot to lose because brands and sponsors and corporations all utilize their celebrity. Your reputation is important as a public figure, and so people will pay you to close your mouth. When I was running down on William McWig III, Granny McWig, okay, I helped the bishop to sue his ass in federal court. That was able to get his then website snatched down and get a judgment against his frail, flat, skeletal ass, because he too was in the business of extorting high-profile Christian pastors, prophets, and pastorettes, and he would force their hand or literally let them know that he was going to lie on their persons, and he would not use the little bit of relevance he had at that time to bring injury to their reputation. And some of these people would put him on payroll and would pay him to not lie on them just to prevent injury to their reputation, girl. Let me tell you, girl, it's real dark and diabolical out here. That's why the truth is important. And having the truth subjected to an integral system is really significant, because you can have people who are falsely persecuted who are in fact innocent. And you can also have people who are guilty of what they're being accused of, absolved of responsibility, depending on if they have a judge who's with the shit, have lawyers who are with the shit. It just gets messy. Okay, get you a vacuum. These bitches is messy out here in these court streets. Let me make sure there's nothing else we need to read. Okay, I'll read that later. All right, so now there have been another lawsuit, girl, that's been filed recently of a woman who is claiming that Diddy essayed her with a remote control after she basically accused him of being connected to the death of hip-hop icon Tupac Shakur. Okay, so I just got down to the meat and potatoes of this lawsuit, which I'm going to read now here. These are the factual allegations common to all counts as it relates to this defendant. Plaintiff met defendant Shane in February of 2018 after an allegation. Hold on. Let me get Tupac on the screen. Plaintiff met defendant Shane in February of 2018 after an altercation with another man at a bar, and defendant Shane came to plaintiff's rescue. While outside the bar with friends and other patrons, defendant Shane FaceTime video called defendant Diddy and was showing people defendant Diddy in the video on his phone, attempting to impress the people with his famous friend. Defendant Shane then showed plaintiff defendant Diddy on his video call, which plaintiff ignored, stating that she was not impressed by him knowing defendant Diddy because she believed that defendant Diddy had something to do with the murder of rapper Tupac Shakur. Visible in the FaceTime call was defendant Diddy and some of his children, including his sons Christian and Quincy. It appeared from the plaintiff's perspective, defendant Diddy was having a get-together at his home during the time of the FaceTime call with defendant Shane. Defendant Diddy heard plaintiff's statement and made a remark that plaintiff would pay for her statement regarding Tupac and overall dismissal of defendant Diddy. On March 23 of 2018, defendant Shane invited plaintiff over to his home to assist him with his cancer medications because he stated that he was weak and unable to open his medicines. Upon plaintiff's arrival, defendant Shane informed plaintiff that he wanted to give her a ride in his new car. Plaintiff and defendant Shane left his residence for a brief period and then returned. So he was strong enough to drive a car, but not strong enough to open a prescription bottle. Once they returned, defendant Shane left the door to his apartment partially open and stated that the door was ajar was ajar because there was an issue with the door where it couldn't closed completely. Defendant Shane was renting an apartment on the lower floor of a home in Orinda, California. Defendant Shane had a separate entrance into his residence that led to the backyard of the home. The home also had a main entrance on Loma Vista Drive. Defendant Shane rented a home from a woman who lived in the upstairs portion of the home and had 2 dogs who resided with her. Plaintiff and defendant Shane then began to watch a movie, and defendant Shane offered her a glass of water, which he retrieved and brought back to plaintiff. Approximately 10 minutes after plaintiff and defendant Shane returned from their drive, defendant Diddy entered defendant Shane's residence. Defendant Diddy entered the home in a grand, ready-to-party manner. His grandiose entrance was so loud that the dogs upstairs began barking. Defendant Diddy did not enter the home through the backyard entrance, but instead through the main entrance. Along with defendant Diddy were his bodyguard, defendant Doe 1, a woman who plaintiff later identified as defendant KK. Another woman, small, skinny build, early 30s with blonde mid-length hair, who plaintiff has still been unable to identify. Jane Doe, defendant Doe 2, who upon information and belief is a friend of defendant Shane and Diddy, and defendant Diddy's driver, Doe 3, who remained outside in his vehicle during the duration of plaintiff assault. All right, so Diddy entered with his alleged bodyguard and some blonde-haired skinny bitch. Plaintiff believes that defendant Shane invited her over to set her up to be assaulted by defendant Diddy because of the statement she made about defendant Diddy a month prior. Upon defendant Diddy's arrival, he immediately began to antagonize the plaintiff, stating that she thought she would never see him in person, pay for her statements about Tupac during the video call, and the defendant Diddy caught plaintiff. Plaintiff was in shock as she never believed that she would ever see or meet defendant Diddy in real life, let alone in the small apartment rented by defendant Shane. Defendant Diddy then began advancing towards where plaintiff was sitting on defendant Shane's bed with a knife and held it to the right side of plaintiff's face and threatened to give her a glass cow smile in retaliation for her previous statements on the video call. Defendant KK told defendant Diddy that she did not think giving plaintiff a Glasgow smile would be advantageous to the potential clients who they would sell plaintiff to for sex. Oh my God. Yikes! Defendant KK then made a threat to plaintiff that they could ship her off anywhere in the world and that she would never see her family or anyone she knew ever again. Defendant Shane then partially undressed plaintiff, then defendant Diddy removed the remainder of plaintiff's clothing, removing the knife from her face, and then retrieved a bottle of liquid from a large fanny pack. Defendant Diddy then squirted a bottle of liquid on plaintiff, which placed her in fear. that she was being squirted with a chemical substance like acid. Plaintiff soon realized the substance was an oil lubricant. Plaintiff was squirted with this liquid substance over the entirety of her undressed body. Defendant KK was then told by defendant Diddy to insert what looked like a syringe from sterile packaging into plaintiff's vajayjay. Defendant KK did as told, and then defendant Diddy that she was unable to use the IUD because it had prematurely been released from its packaging. Defendant Diddy, upset by this, took the syringe from defendant KK and tried inserting it in plaintiff's vagina instead. Defendant KK and Diddy began to argue as defendant KK continued to advise defendant Diddy that since the IUD had been prematurely released from its packaging, it in no way they could insert it into plaintiff's vajayjay effectively. After some time, defendant Diddy heeded the advice of defendant KK and removed the syringe from plaintiff's vajayjay and handed it to defendant KK. Defendant KK and Jane Doe then exited defendant Shane's residence, leaving plaintiff alone with defendants Diddy, Shane, and Doe 1 and 2. Defendant Diddy then picked up a television remote that was near. Hold on, this thing done jumped. Girl, this is a lot. Hold on, this screen done jumped and moved my placement. It'll move my placement, child. Okay, hold on. All right. Defendant Diddy then picked up a television remote that was near plaintiff and violently inserted it into plaintiff's vagina. Defendant Diddy, while violently graping plaintiff with a television remote, told plaintiff that her life was in his hands and that if he wanted, he could take her and she would never be seen again. Plaintiff began hysterically crying from the threats by defendant Diddy, along with the pain of being violently vaginally raped by defendant Diddy with the television remote, as well as the lingering pain from the ordeal with the IUD syringe insertion. Defendant Diddy then instructed defendant Shane to turn plaintiff on her stomach, seemingly tired of hearing the plaintiff's blood-curdling cries. Defendant Shane then grabbed plaintiff by her abdomen and hips and turned plaintiff on her stomach. Defendant Diddy then instructed defendant Shane to put a pillow over her head because he wanted to see her face or hear her cries, and instructed defendant Shane to anally grape plaintiff because he didn't want to see her face or hear her cries. Defendant Shane did as he was told by defendant Diddy and began to anally grape plaintiff. Defendant Diddy then violently raped plaintiff anally after defendant Shane. Defendant Joe 2 then joined defendants Diddy and Shane, taking a turn anally raping plaintiff. Immediately after defendant Doe 2 raped plaintiff, he exited defendant Shane's residence. Defendant Diddy then inserted defendant Doe 1 to also grape plaintiff. Instead of immediately graping plaintiff, defendant Doe 1 doused plaintiff with more oil and lubricant and then jumped on top of plaintiff's naked and oiled body, treating it like a slip and slide and knocking the wind out of plaintiff due to his enormous size. Defendant Doe then caught himself from sliding over plaintiff's oiled body and off the bed. He then began graping plaintiff vaginally. While defendant Doe 1 was graping plaintiff, defendant Diddy sat in a chair near the bed and began masturbating while recording plaintiff's grape by defendant Doe 1. Another party's phone fell on the bed near plaintiff. Plaintiff then attempted to grab the phone, but it slipped out of her hands and onto the floor due to the oil lubricant that had been doused all over her persons by defendants Diddy and Doe 1. Defendant Diddy began laughing at plaintiff attempt to grab the phone. Throughout the violent gangbang style grape, defendant Diddy made constant belittling remarks to plaintiff, including that he owned her now. Plaintiff's body was becoming more and more limp over the course of the violent grape until eventually she had no control over her body, nor could she move her body. When defendant Doe 1 finished graping plaintiff, defendant KK entered the room to examine the condition of plaintiff, who was barely able to move or control her bodily functions. Defendant KK examined plaintiff to see if she needed assistance and was about to give plaintiff an IV fluid. Plaintiff cannot be certain if she did or did not receive such intravenous intervention. Defendant KK then opened a different bag, different than the one defendant Diddy removed the oil from, where plaintiff observed several medication bottles, IV fluid bags, and other unidentifiable powder-like drugs. Defendant KK then removed a pill from one of the medicine bottles and gave it to defendant Diddy. Defendant Diddy then inserted the pill into plaintiff's mouth and down her throat to where plaintiff had no choice but to ingest the unknown pill. Defendants Diddy, Shane, KK, and Doe 1 then exited the residence to the backyard where they smoked marijuana and cigarettes. Plaintiff remained in an almost lifeless state in defendant Shane's bedroom until she finally regained her bodily functions. Plaintiff then began looking for her clothes and her purse that contained her car keys and cell phone, but could not discover them in the room or anywhere in the apartment. Plaintiff was able to find a t-shirt on the floor where she put on to cover her naked body. Plaintiff also observed a black condom wrapper on the floor of the bedroom, which she assumed was used by one of the defendants, most likely defendant Diddy, during the grape. Plaintiff then grabbed a knife from the kitchen and headed to the backyard where the defendants were smoking, as that was the only way to exit the premises onto the street. Plaintiff concealed the knife on her left side as she exited the apartment to the backyard area. Upon coming to the exit of the home, which led to the backyard, plaintiff was met by defendant Doe 1, who was standing at the door between the residence and the backyard. By the time plaintiff was able to compose herself and come to the backyard, defendant KK was no longer in the backyard but upstairs on the patio balcony with defendant Jane Doe. Defendant Doe 1 allowed plaintiff to walk to the backyard where defendant Shane and Diddy were still smoking. Defendant Doe 1 did not see the knife that plaintiff concealed on her left side, as it was obstructed by the oversized t-shirt plaintiff was wearing. Plaintiff observed defendant Diddy still partially nude from the assault, while defendant Shane and Doe 1 had on their clothing. Defendant Shane then left to the upstairs portion of the patio balcony where defendants KK and Jane Doe were already situated. Plaintiff then sat down on a makeshift seat in the backyard when defendant Diddy noticed her presence and remarked that he was surprised that she was able to walk because he had given her enough drugs to take out a horse. Plaintiff then asked defendant Diddy what he gave her, and he laughed and did not provide a response. Defendant Diddy then made further comments to plaintiff in a jovial, friendly manner, asking her why they hadn't partied together before because it was so much fun and that he hadn't had any ass that tight in a while. Defendant Doe 1 then gripped at defendant Diddy that he probably hadn't had any ass that tight because he's not used to having anal sex with women, which defendants Diddy and Doe 1 laughed at. Plaintiff then told defendant Diddy she did not party with him and she did not enjoy partying with him and that he raped her. Defendant Diddy did not like plaintiff's response to the lighthearted commentary and offered plaintiff money and instructed plaintiff to say that the violent rape was consensual and that plaintiff was a sex worker. Plaintiff became enraged and yelled at defendant Diddy that her rape was not consensual, she was not a sex worker, and she refused to take any money from him and would tell the police that he raped her. Defendant Diddy then told plaintiff no one would ever believe she had been raped by him, and if she did tell anyone such, that they would harm her family. Defendant Doe 1 then showed plaintiff his phone, which looked as if it was outside of plaintiff's estranged sister's residence, as she could see her sister sitting on the couch and her sister's spouse on the balcony. It looked as if someone was outside the residence streaming this video to defendant Doe 1's phone. Wow. Plaintiff, while rattled by what she was seeing on defendant Doe 1's phone, was still angry about being gang raped and was not complying with defendant Diddy's request to take the money being offered to say that the rape was consensual. Defendant Diddy then called his mother. This is where Linda comes into play at, baby. Linda Combs, Janice Combs' ass come into play at. Hey, everybody in the chat, check this out, y'all. As if this isn't bad enough. This is where Janice Combs enters the chat. Diddy then calls his mother in an effort to further convince plaintiff not to report her assault. Defendant Diddy's mother yelled at the plaintiff to not hurt her son. Plaintiff told defendant Diddy's mother that her son had violently raped plaintiff. Defendant Diddy's mother, seemingly unfazed by the statement, then continued her demands with plaintiff to take the money being offered and not report the rape to law enforcement. Defendant Diddy then made further threats that he had gotten off from bigger crimes than this and referred to Tupac again, further antagonizing plaintiff. Defendant Doe 1 then turned to defendant Diddy and pulled the GUN on him, asking him to repeat what he said to reference to Tupac. What in the hell is going on? As the two of them were exchanging words, plaintiff went behind defendant Doe 1, where he seemingly began to protect plaintiff. Defendant Doe 1 then advanced to defendant Diddy, questioning him over the comments he made about Tupac. During the commotion, a neighbor directly across the street came outside and peered into the backyard and asked what all the commotion was about. Defendant Doe 1 then pointed the GUN at the neighbor and instructed him to mind his business and return to his residence. Defendant Doe 1 then grabbed the GUN back on defendant Diddy. Plaintiff did not far behind defendant Doe 1, tried to grab defendant Doe 1's hand that had the GUN. The GUN then went off and hit a hill behind defendant Shane's residence. Defendant Diddy then ran back up the stone stairs near the hill in the backyard towards where defendants KK, Shane, and Jane Doe were. Plaintiff charged toward defendant Diddy, moving the concealed knife from her left hand to her right hand and in pursuit of defendant Diddy. Oh my God, now these niggas are teaming up to take Diddy ass out together. Plaintiff then pushed defendant Diddy from behind while on the stone stairs outside, causing him to fall with his back to plaintiff. Plaintiff then raised the knife in a rage from the events that just transpired and with the intent of driving the knife into defendant Diddy's back when he turned around and began pleading for his life. Plaintiff, shocked now to see defendant Diddy acting as a victim, had a moment of clarity and then turned and ran down the outdoor stone staircase back out to the backyard to escape. Girl, this is a whole damn situation here. This is a whole damn blockbuster here, y'all. Okay, y'all in the building, thumbs up, thumbs up. This is crazy, girl. I did not read this lawsuit before reading it to y'all, girl. So we're reading it in real time. I did not expect these allegations to be this dynamic and to have this many twists and damn turns. Defendant Diddy then chased plaintiff down the stairs and attempted to push her because she was already at the bottom of the stairs and gained her footing and wielded the knife at defendant Diddy, grazing his abdomen. Hearing the commotion, defendants KK and Jane Doe emerged, and defendant KK then began administering first aid to defendant Diddy for the injuries caused by plaintiff. Plaintiff tried to make quick dash for the exit, but it was thwarted by defendant Doe 1. After a period of time, plaintiff was unable to abscond from defendant Doe 1 due to the first aid commotion from defendant Diddy and was able to run down the street. Once plaintiff made it on the street, she began yelling loudly for someone to call the police. Defendant Doe 1, who had now caught up with plaintiff, advised plaintiff that he was an undercover cop. To this day, plaintiff is unsure of the truth or falsity of that statement. The same neighbor then again emerged from his residence asking what was transpiring. Just as plaintiff was attempting to answer, GUN shots began being fired in plaintiff's direction. Plaintiff fled to a car near where the neighbor was also taking cover and lost sight of defendant Doe 1. Plaintiff then heard a SUV screeching and speeding, leaving the residence. Plaintiff then entered the home of the neighbor, who informed her that he had already called the police. Plaintiff informed the neighbor that it was Sean Combs who had raped her and shot at them, but the neighbor was unaware who defendant Diddy was. Shortly thereafter, a sheriff from the Contra Costa Sheriff's Department arrived at the neighbor's home. Plaintiff told the sheriff she had been violently gang raped by defendant Diddy and others, that she did not have her clothes, phone, purse, car keys, or cell phone. The sheriff told plaintiff and the neighbor that they had received several noise complaints prior to the neighbor's call and instructed plaintiff to find a way to get home. The sheriff did not offer to take plaintiff home, nor did he call for emergency services, including an ambulance, nor any offer to take plaintiff to the hospital, nor any offer to help plaintiff recover her clothes or effects from defendant Shane's residence. The neighbors offered to let plaintiff sleep on his couch until she could figure out a way to get her possessions and get home, but plaintiff declined and only remained at the neighbor's residence for a short period of time once the sheriff left. Plaintiff then went back to defendant Shane's residence, where she found the door open and her clothes were readily accessible in his residence. Defendant Shane then emerged as if nothing had transpired and offered for plaintiff to stay at his residence while she slept it off. Plaintiff asked for her purse and her keys, but defendant Shane told her she couldn't leave in her condition, and plaintiff, catatonic and in a state of shock and disbelief of the events that transpired, stayed at defendant Shane's home while defendant Shane left the home. Later that morning, defendant Shane returned to the residence and woke plaintiff up and finally gave her her purse, cell phone, and keys, and plaintiff left defendant's residence. In a daze, plaintiff returned home and tried to make sense out of what happened to her. On March 26 of 2018, plaintiff contacted her primary care doctor and asked for an HIV and STD test in fear of possibly having contracted a disease from her violent rape. Plaintiff tried to continue her life as she felt she wouldn't be believed, as plaintiff had already told Contra Costa Sheriff's defendant Diddy raped her to no avail. Further, plaintiff was under the impression if she did continue to say defendant Diddy's name in relation to her assault, that she would not be believed and her family would be in danger. Seemingly mere days, maybe even the day before plaintiff's vicious rape, defendant Shane had miraculously begun driving a new car. Plaintiff believes this was a payment by defendant Diddy for setting up plaintiff to be raped. A few weeks later, in April of 2018, plaintiff, still in pain and reeling from the horrific assault, went to the hospital as her injuries had not subsided from the assault. The hospital conducted several tests on plaintiff, including a rape kit, ultrasound, and x-rays. Additionally, plaintiff was given IV fluids to stabilize her vitals, as she was in a severe weakened state from being unable to eat and losing a substantial amount of weight since the rape occurred. While at the hospital, plaintiff told members of her treatment team about her horrific assault and then contacted the Walnut Creek police. Walnut Creek police showed up to plaintiff's hospital room and took a statement regarding her assault on March 23rd. Plaintiff had already told Contra Costa sheriffs about her rape and that it was defendant Diddy who orchestrated it on March 23rd of 2018, which was ignored. Plaintiff declined to refer to defendant Diddy again to Walnut Creek police because she believed she would be ignored by the Walnut Creek police, just as she was by the Contra Costa County Sheriff, and or would be further harmed by defendant Diddy if he discovered she named him to police. Plaintiff only told Walnut Creek police about the assault from defendant Shane and Doe 2. Plaintiff believes her statements made to Walnut Creek police while at the hospital was captured by police body camera footage. Plaintiff further believes her statements made to the Contra Costa Sheriff on March 23rd, immediately after the vicious assault, where plaintiff named defendant Diddy directly and by name, was captured by police body camera footage. Plaintiff also filed a report to the Orinda Police Department on April 17th of 2018, but again was too afraid to name defendant Diddy as one of her assailants. During this report, plaintiff provided her clothing to the police from the night of the assault, but they only retained her underwear. To date, the underwear was never returned, and plaintiff believes no investigation ever commenced. Plaintiff sought assistance from therapists in May 2018, one of which tried to have her therapy appointments covered by a victim's compensation fund, which was rejected because plaintiff was told no law enforcement agency had opened an active investigation into any of her many reports of her violent gang rape. Subsequently thereafter, plaintiff asked police for a copy of her report from the Walnut Creek Police Department. On July 19th of 2018, plaintiff was provided a letter from the Walnut Creek Police Department stating that it was unable to furnish this information as it is confidential and not subject to public release, despite plaintiff not being the public and the victim and the complainant. In March of 2024, plaintiff was re-traumatized by all of the events surrounding defendant Diddy, including the several civil complaints filed against him, as well as the raid on defendant Diddy's California and Florida residences. Plaintiff called Contra Costa sheriffs again in hopes of renewing her previous complaint and amending it to ensure defendant Diddy's name was included. Plaintiff received no response from the sheriff. Plaintiff in July of 2024 then emailed the chief of the sheriff's office regarding her complaint, lack of investigation, and how she was treated by the initial responding officer. Plaintiff then later received a call back from a detective, but then nothing further. Plaintiff then began seeking legal counsel for her claims, ultimately being referred to undersigned for representation. Undersigned counsel, who also attempted to get a copy of the 2018 police report from Contra Costa sheriffs, but was told that they would not provide the report or any information without a subpoena. Plaintiffs incorporate by reference and reallege. Wow, y'all. Are y'all hearing this? This shit is crazy. So this woman believes that parts of her interactions with police about this gang rape orchestrated by Diddy was captured on police footage, that there's a cover-up. Apparently, her attorneys have gotten involved, in order to obviously provide said facts and receipts to prove the allegations were met with obstruction as well, and said that they would not release said reports without a subpoena. This is crazy. Now remember, Diddy already has a history, has already been accused by multiple plaintiffs of having ties to the police. Remember Diddy's male prostitute, what's the guy's name? He's in a interrogation video. Let me see. Diddy. Let me find this man's. A male prostitute has come forward with videotape alleging showing one of the belligerent rapper that life is freak out the sex worker met with. No, not him. No, prostitute interrogation. What's his man name? P. Diddy's alleged slave made wild accusations against him.
Do you know Sean Combs?
I need an article. I'm looking for his name. Chow. Jonathan Odie. Oddie, whatever the fuck it is. Jonathan Oddie. Remember this guy, he had, he was the first to whistleblow on the whole Sean Combs situation, even before Cassie did, child. Like, he came forward, he initially was arrested because he was obstructing justice at some hotel and, being weird and something about Trump and all this. The feds got involved, and he sat down with feds in what now is a infamous interrogation video where he went all down the rabbit hole of Sean Combs, spoke about how he was basically a male prostitute and sex slave for Cassie and Diddy, that, there were lots of drugs and trafficking going on. He also spoke about how Diddy basically has mob ties and he's tied into the police precincts of various cities and states, that he is being protected by the feds. You guys also know that Diddy has been accused by various celebrities and other whistleblowers of being an actual informant, which is why a lot of people believe that Diddy was able to get away with this as long as he did. Tony Buzbee, in his press conference, had also let it be known that many of the victims that he was representing, had both medical and alleged police reports to corroborate their stories. I was saying in the previous live stream that the fact that allegedly many of these accusers had police reports and there was no open investigation, etc., really placated to the claims that Diddy obviously has mob ties, and obviously somebody of his stature with as much as he has to lose would make sure that he is reasonably tied into the legal system so that he could have a certain level of immunity as it relates to the criminality that he's interested in commencing against the world. Most high-profile people have attorneys in their back pockets, have judges in their back pockets, have all types of people on their payroll in order to silence situations, in order to make sure that there is no prosecution nor persecution for said things that are transpiring, etc. But this guy, Jonathan Odie, he was one of the first individuals to come forward. Matter of fact, while we here, just let me go ahead and refresh you guys' memories and just read some of what he alleged based upon this NY Post write-up. I'm going to, you know what's so funny? Is this man sitting there in a damn hospital gown? Because that's what, I don't know what that's a shirt, but it looks like the traditional hospital gowns. Because I think they say he was barely naked as well. Or it was just a lot of mess, girl. He was getting his cockeyed show on, girl. According to the NY Post, a newly resurfaced video shows an ex-corn star who was arrested in 2018 for allegedly ooting up one of the former President Donald Trump's Florida golf courses, telling cops during his interrogation that he'd allegedly been Sean Diddy Combs' sex slave. The year-old clip of Jonathan Odie being grilled by Miami investigators in the unrelated case reemerged just days after Combs, 54, pleaded not guilty in New York to sex trafficking and racketeering charges. The fallen mogul has been accused of running a sordid criminal empire for more than a decade, in which he allegedly threatened women and sometimes forced them to take part in drudged up sex shows with male sex workers, according to his indictment. I had sex with Cassie and Sean, Odie alleged in the interrogation video. Quote, he would masturbate and tell me what to do to Cassie. I was like a sex slave, okay? For them, that's what I was. Odie also claimed that he caught the crunch and munch during the alleged sex fest with Combs in Ventura, and that he had taken liquid cocaine with them both. Now remember, a pink powdery substance was allegedly found on Diddy's persons upon them arresting him and putting his ass in a 10 by 10 room that he's in the special housing units of the prison he's being kept at. Also, there's been other complaints or allegations made against Diddy for giving STDs out to persons. Now remember, Usher has been sued multiple times. Usher is someone that lived with Diddy when he was 13 or 14 years old, went to his flavor camp. He was given over custody by his mother. He saw all type of unspeakable abominations. He allegedly grew up to be a distorted pop locking and dropping heathen his damn self, who has been met with various lawsuits about allegedly infecting women with the crunch and munch. In one particular lawsuit, if you guys missed that particular live stream, just go back and listen. I think Usher's name is in the title of the video. We went through some of his legalities, and one of the complaints against Usher, he responded by saying that basically he felt he had no moral or ethical obligation to ensure his partner's protection, and that ultimately whatever transpired, whatever the hell she caught, whatever the hell it was, like, it's her fault. Like, safe sex is her responsibility, which is crazy that somebody is accusing him of giving them crunch and munch, and he's not saying I don't have it. Instead, he's making an argument for why it was why he infected someone else justifiably. He also settled out of court as well with other people accusing him of the crunch and munch, including a man that accused him of giving him the crunch and munch. You guys know Usher has cheated on previous partners, including his ex-wife, Miss Foster, And according to Ms. Foster, he cheated on her with 2 of her bridesmaids, 2 of her closest friends. Usher continued to do collaborations and work with Diddy even after he became a superstar in his own right. If Usher ass is infected with the crunch and munch, which is looking to be the case, and he was still running wild with Diddy and indulging in these parties, and there's all this unprotected sex transpiring, girl, we don't know if Diddy, who allegedly abused Usher when he was a child, that Usher then turned around as a grown man and continued to indulge and freak shit with Diddy, and then end up contracting the crunch and munch, and then might have actually given the crunch and munch inadvertently to Diddy because they're sharing each other's genitals. They are sharing sex slaves and prostitutes, and they are engaging in promiscuous, reckless sex with the same people, and all these juices and things are flying about, girl. And if Diddy then went on to either knowingly or unknowingly pass on various STIs and STDs, girl, it is a hot fucking mess. And remember, in Diddy's first bail package proposal, he stated that one of the reasons why he desperately needed his freedom and he needed to be free until trial is because he needed to be able to see his fucking doctor. And remember, I was saying, what the fuck is that about? You know, that Diddy would be needing to see his doctor routinely. So it's a lot going on. All right. Now, I say all that to just say that this man here had accused Diddy of having the police in various cities and states in a chokehold. So this woman alleging that despite all of her involvement with police was to no avail, that's not particularly shocking to me, because it's looking that Diddy is some type of an informant and is somebody who has had, at least for a time, a certain level of legal immunity, because of various people he's in relationship to. That's why they call it a secret society. Okay, so there's that, but there's also other situations going on, because speaking of Tupac, this woman initially got on Diddy's bad side allegedly because she accused him of being connected to Tupac's unalivement, and then according to her lawsuit, Diddy kind of corroborated that, you know, when he was taunting her and admitted that he had unalived Tupac. Well, speaking of Tupac, Tupac Shakur's stepbrother says that reopening the rapper's murder case is not about Diddy specifically. To late Tupac Shakur's stepbrother, Mopreme Shakur, I like that name, Mopreme Shakur, explained why his family is now looking into Sean Diddy Combs' possible involvement into Tupac's murder. Quote, "The family is pursuing an investigation into my brother's death. Wherever the investigation leads, that's where it leads," Mopreme, 57 years of age, said during a Friday, October 11th appearance on Piers Morgan Uncensored. "It's not about Diddy specifically. It's about justice for my brother." He continued, quote, "It's been an ongoing mystery for 27 years. With the arrest in Vegas last year, there was a break, an opportunity to get closer to the truth. This is ongoing business for us. My family pursued an investigation early on, soon after his murder, of which nothing came of it. So we were left with no answers for 27 years. You guys, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up the building, because we're working, y'all. Thumbs up the building, please. Thumbs up the video, thumbs up the live stream. Please show your support through tapping that like button for $3.99, and or you can also bless the Kang on Cash App $Consciouztv and or PayPal.me/Consciouztv. Tupac was unalived following a dropout. Okay, we already know all that. Quote, "As far as the hip-hop world goes, Tupac, my brother, was king of the hill, top dog, king of rap, and with it comes a lot of envy, jealousy, and all types of things," Mopreme said on Friday. Quote, "All I can make of it is there were groups of people who were jealous and envious and full of hate." Aside from Davis, no suspects have been confirmed or charged with a crime. Some observers have long tried to connect Diddy 54 to the murder, but the now disgraced music mogul has vehemently denied any involvement. Diddy has not been charged in connection to Tupac's death. The story is ridiculous, quote, and completely false, Diddy said in 2008. Neither Biggie, the late Notorious B.I.G., nor I had any knowledge of any attack before, during, or after it happened. It is complete lie to suggest that there was any involvement by Biggie or myself. Hell, even Tupac suggested that Diddy, when he was first shot, had something to do with it, because he had that look on Diddy's face when he arrived in that elevator, soaked in his own blood. He would never forget. Speaking to host Piers Morgan, Mo Preem expressed his doubts about Diddy's denial, but said he primarily wants justice for Tupac's untimely death. Quote, "My family is still suffering fallout from the assassination of my brother's murder," Mo Preem said. "My family still suffers, so the struggle continues on finding out the truth." According to Mo Preem, he also spoke with Diddy in 2008 about the investigation. Check this out. Quote, "He was in LA at the time. He was on the radio. He asked a local DJ that we all know, Big Boy, to reach out to me because he wanted to speak to me about something," Mo Preem claimed. "We all were familiar with all the rumors and stuff. I said, yeah, let me talk to him. So he called me and I had my guys with me, Thug Life guys, and we heard what he had to say. He basically said he ain't had nothing to do with my brother's murder, and I told him the truth is still yet to come out, so we're gonna see." When Diddy released his initial denial statement, Mo Preem did not think it was 100% honest. Quote, "We have to find out what is true and what's false, what's real and what's fake," Mo Preem said, alluding to the possibility that Diddy had been lying about his connection to the case. "It's kind of looking that way, in my opinion. Diddy, meanwhile, was arrested in September, blah, 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 blah. Quote, "We are disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution of Mr. Combs by the U.S. Attorney's Office, Diddy's attorney." Okay, All right, so Tupac's brother, stepbrother, is all for an investigation. They just want justice. So he's basically saying, look, I personally believe that Tupac has something to do with my brother's assassination. However, this is not per se about Diddy as it is about bringing justice to my brother's death and holding whomever actually was responsible for his death accountable, whether that was Diddy or some other person. We don't have any particular interest in necessarily making Diddy the assailant or someone who was connected to it. We are after the truth, and if that truth happens to point to Diddy, then that's who the hell we want accountable. If it happens to point to some unknown person, some gang member, some other person, we just want the person and the people who were a part of taking Tupac's life to be held accountable. That's what his brother is saying. All right, so the family is pushing for an investigation, girl. This thing with Diddy has opened up all of the graves, all of the bones, because you guys know I'll Be Sure is pressing for there to be investigation into Kim Porter's death. You guys know that people have been pushing also for an investigation into Biggie's assassination. In connection to Diddy, girl. It's going to be interesting to see if these investigations are picked up and what is discovered, as a result of them. Now, there was something else I had meant to mention about Tony Buzbee and the attorney Ariel, but I have totally forgot what it is I was wanting to say. Hopefully it'll come back to me before I log out. Speaking of lawsuits, so we just read from the lawsuit of this woman, I think her name is Ashley, who filed this lawsuit alleging that she was gang raped and shot at and all these things and drugged by Diddy, assaulted with the TV remote control. There have also been lawsuits from men following Diddy's arrest. I want to read one of the lawsuits from one of the John Does in this case, as in these civil cases as well. So check out an excerpt These are the factual allegations from a John Doe who is accusing Diddy of SA as well. Okay. Plaintiff worked for Royal Reigns Management, a prestigious company based out of New York City with additional offices in LA and Atlanta. Through plaintiff's industry connections, he gained access to parties associated with Combs and Bad Boy Entertainment. One party took place in or around October of 2021. These connections and invitation ultimately led to a life-altering and traumatic experience for plaintiff. Combs' businesses picked up, hold on, let me change the picture here. All right. Combs' businesses picked plaintiff up from the airport and transported him to New York City, where the party was to take place. Upon arrival, plaintiff noticed several well-known artists in attendance. Plaintiff was immediately offered what he was told was ecstasy by associates of Combs' businesses, which plaintiff refused. Plaintiff limited himself to just one drink. Even though plaintiff only consumed one alcoholic drink, the effects of the drink were immediate and overwhelming. The behavior towards plaintiff mimics a pattern of Combs and his agents' employees drugging unsuspecting victims in order to make it easier for Combs to actually assault that person. Ultimately, plaintiff was one such victim. A photograph of an exemplary container used by Combs and or his agents' employees to insert GHB into alcoholic drinks is seen below. Oh, wow. Let me show you guys. This is one of the alleged containers used to contain that infamous intoxicating personality and mind altering drug GHB, which allegedly is infused into lubrication and baby oil. Okay, that is one of those containers that is listed in the lawsuit. Plaintiff soon became disoriented and the room started spinning. In a state of confusion, he attempted to remove himself from the situation, seeking a safe space. As plaintiff tried to leave, a male voice told him to hold on, and he promised to help him. The next thing plaintiff remembers is being in a bedroom. Despite being vaguely aware of his surroundings, he could not move, speak, or fight back. Plaintiff was paralyzed, feeling as if he was trapped in his own body. Multiple men began to actually assault him through sodomy and other forced acts. He distinctly recalled seeing Combs above, naked, at one point during the assault. During this time, plaintiff was sodomized by at least 3 men. Plaintiff could feel a difference in the size of the men when he was being sodomized, further confirming the presence of multiple attackers. Wow. Plaintiff continues to attend therapy sessions to address the trauma from these experiences. And then the lawsuit goes on to list the first cause of actions. Which is these crimes were motivated, that these were gender-based assaults. Second cause of action is assault, battery, rape, criminal sexual act, and aggravated sexual abuse. And that's pretty much the extent of the lawsuit, okay? He doesn't go into a lot of details, which is good, because my God, as I said, bitch, I'm going to need therapy. And this was someone who was plugged into the Diddy circle and is alleging that he was drugged and then sodomized by multiple Diddy associates, including Diddy himself. All right. There's also another suit here. By a Jane Doe. Let me see here. In the past, it's been filed by plaintiffs. Oh my God, I think I done. Hold on. History. Oh, I know what I was. Thank you, Holy Spirit. I know exactly what I was going to talk about. So there's another filing by a woman who is obviously suing Diddy for the same thing, SA. She's being represented by Tony Buzbee. And I think what stood out to me about this lawsuit is the fact that Diddy has also been connected to other previous cases with well-known public figures. Matter of fact, let me see, because I think I screenshotted something. Please tell me I screenshot it. Hold on, y'all. I know I had. Oh, here it is. Okay. I don't know if you guys knew this, but Diddy also was cited having involvement in lawsuits against both Chris Brown and Trey Songz. And you guys also know that attorney Ariel Mitchell also accused rapper The Game of having involvement in these freak-offs. But per this particular lawsuit, it cited other litigations and accusations against Diddy by other people. One of those was Chris Brown, was also referenced in the lawsuits between plaintiff Rodney Jones and defendant Combs. Implementing Mr. Brown was in Mr. Combs' Los Angeles home, consorting with underage girls and sex workers. You guys know that Chris Brown has also found himself recently back at the hem of SA accusations by a TikTok user by the name of Gemini something. She claimed that she that she was raped by one of Chris Brown's associates named Gemini at Chris Brown's home, and she claimed that the same day that she was raped in Chris Brown's home by one of his homeboys, that her friend who was underage was being raped by Chris Brown himself. Okay, you guys know that there's also a Chris Brown documentary that's also coming down the pipeline as well. That's also a surviving Tyler Perry documentary that's coming down the pipeline as well, child. It's a lot going on, Gore. Even Megan Thee Stallion got a damn documentary that's coming out on the 31st of this month, child. It's a lot going on. So, in Lil Rod's, lawsuit, which is a hot mess, he claims that Mr. Brown was in Mr. Combs' home consorting with prostitutes and non-adult persons. Also, it says that this now is the 10th lawsuit filed against defendant Combs since November 16th of 2023, just as the allegations brought by the 9 plaintiffs' English claims are just as egregious. It cited that Diddy was mentioned in some lawsuits against Trey Songz as well, who you guys know is a well-known alleged abuser. Multiple accusations, multiple lawsuits against him for SA. I'm waiting for the Trey Songz, surviving Trey Songz, baby, because we honestly thought that was going to come first. Trey Songz accusations were outside. And you guys also know that in that Diddy Ciroc party footage that we played a few weeks ago, the one that is also listed in Dawn from Danity Kane's lawsuit, because she claims that after that Ciroc live stream party, the after party is where abuse took place at. Alleged minors were trafficked, albino girls, Blasian females. But at that party, in the party footage, you guys know Trey Songz was one of the attendees, along with Kevin Hart. That same Ciroc party is where we get the infamous footage of Kevin Hart walking into one of the rooms at Diddy's home where the big ass vibrator, aka dildo, was sitting right on the middle of the bed, and Kevin Hart was freaking out. You guys also know Usher was in attendance as well. He pulled up. That's where Diddy almost outed on live that him and Usher, when Usher was underage, used to wake up in bed together. All that took place at the same Ciroc live stream party. You guys also know, along with abuser Trey Songz and alleged Crunch and Munch infector Usher, was another abuser at that party, which was Fabulous. You guys know Fabulous has been accused of abuse as well, of punching his baby mama's teeth out of her mouth. All these weirdos, girl, you know, all galvanized at Diddy's party, child. So, like, attracting like, you guys know that there's also footage of Chris Brown at these backyard shindigs, etc., child. Once again, it's a RICO for a reason. Tribe members, you know, tribe together. And it's just a celebrity hot mess. Particularly the celebrity men are absolutely out of their goddamn minds. Out of their rabbit ass brains, girl. Just a whole hot mess. So you got celebrity men who allegedly are drugging various people of all genders, of all ages. Remember, Tony Buzbee said that some of these victims that he's representing were not only assaulted at various hotels and Diddy properties and at various events hosted by Diddy, but that they were also done at the private residences of other celebrities. Which takes me back to the young woman who was on TikTok saying that her and her friend were abused and essayed by Chris Brown and his homeboy. What we learned from the lawsuit from, I believe, the woman named Ashley, who was accusing and suing Diddy of gang rape, is that Diddy caught his mother after her assault, and that Janice Combs' hard not alleged ancestral ass was pretty much trying to bribe and coerce her into taking the money and to protecting her son, which goes oddly enough hand in hand with the sentiments of Janice Combs, who you guys know recently released a statement defending her son, saying that the public don't know her son and and basically back the fuck up off her son, giving very much so Dangerous Minds, as I said before, giving very much so My Daughter My Hamburger, as said before. Matter of fact, I have a thought coming to my brain. Let me see when her lawsuit was filed. Interesting. The lawsuit was filed 2 days ago. So I don't know if this woman, well, she's also alleging that she interacted with police. She believes that footage exists. And allegedly, there are police filings, but they refuse to provide them unless they're subpoenaed. I assume that we're going to get some updates on this case. And if there are any police reports to substantiate what happened to this woman, it's going to be looking real bad for Diddy, because I'm sure this woman is going to be a witness. Also, like in his criminal trial. Also, I was wondering if Jonathan Odie is going to also be a witness in this case, even though right now he's still serving time for his fuck shit. We'll see. I will keep you guys updated on all things Diddy. We got 2 live streams to do tomorrow, girl. We got things to get into. There's a Vice video about MAGA rich people parties. Yeah, and it happens all over the world, honey. These stories, these allegations, these claims are substantiated by things that have happened throughout history as it relates to high-profile families, dynasties, the rich and the wealthy, politicians, celebrities. It is not without historical relevance and substantiation that very demonic, diabolical shit has happened by way of power. You guys remember the Quiet on Set documentary that came out earlier this year, baby? That thing was a mess. A mess. It's happened in all industries. Anytime there's a system of power amidst the people, you're going to get your fair share of abuse of that power. For sure. That power that creates unjustifiable war, colonizing communities, violence, pillaging, raping. You're going to get exploitation, capitalism. You're going to get all of that shit happening, unfortunately, when human beings, twisted, broken, dark-hearted ass human beings, come into proximity to power and influence. You're going to get your fair share of demon shit. A mess, all right? So that wraps up this live stream, which I did not know was going to go on for 2 damn hours. Make sure you guys thumbs up, up. Subscribe if you're new here. I'll see you all tomorrow to get into some things. Tell me what you guys think about all of this shit below, honey. Janice Combs allegedly helping her son with these freak-offs, remote controls, GHB lace lubrication, infused ice cubes, girl. Tony Buzbee's lawsuits being dismissed because of technicalities and the foulings, attorneys like Ariel Mitchell dropping, representing certain Diddy accusers. Girl, it's a lot going on. It's a lot going on, y'all. Shout out to the moderators for holding it down. And I'll see y'all later. Peace.